joining me, Crowie. The boys have all made their way through the first week now. Are you pleased with how they've all returned?
Yeah, so we had our younger players back a fortnight ago, and we're really happy with how the older groups returned. We're a professional group of players, and they know how important it is to work through that off-season period. We'd expected them to have built up to 18-kilometre weeks by the time they got back, and looking at how well they've done this week, we're really confident that they've got a base behind them we can springboard off and have a really good pre-season.
They do all take a bit of a different approach as well in the off-season while also having those expectations. Are you just happy to let them do their own thing as well?
Yeah, obviously there's a program to make sure we get the right fitness and strength levels up, and players will have some individual aspects to that. But then the players, what they like best about that time is they don't necessarily have to come in here to do it. We have groups of players who prefer to come and train here, but we also have the majority are able to travel the world or just basically train in their own time, and that freedom is a big mental fresh up for the group.
There is some news about Orazio Fantasia. What are the details there?
So at our training, Orazio got his little finger stuck in a jumper. We obviously had some concern about that, so we got it scanned. His tendon's intact, which is very good news. The slip around that tendon, which acts as a pulley, has been affected, so you'll see Orazio in a splint over the next couple of weeks, and then we'll reassess the finger and see if he needs to continue in the splint beyond that. The good news though is obviously that Orazio can keep running and kicking the ball and doing bits and pieces with the group that don't involve tackling on that finger over the next couple of weeks.
Now let's get into some of the guys in rehab as well. How is Joe Donahoe tracking at the moment?
Yeah, Joe is progressing well. Joe is doing most of his work before Christmas, separate to the main group. We're building him up really gradually. The idea is that he gets a big foundation of running and work that we know will set his groins up and his body up to have a good season. And we'll be training him accordingly and taking our time to make sure we get him right for the season.
And Maddie Gleason and Josh Begley look to be going quite nicely. When are you expecting them to be available to return to full training? Yeah,
so Josh Begley is now 27 weeks after his ACL injury. He's building up high volumes of mostly straight line training. I think he's up around the 19k session mark at the moment. We do that to get that foundation in. We'll start layering in some change of direction and jumping and other functional movements over the next couple of months, and he'll be looking to integrate with a group after Christmas.
And Maddie Gleason as well?
Yeah, Maddie Gleason. So Maddie's also building up his volumes. He's doing 3 sessions a week of running volume. With Marty's ankle, what we're looking to get the very last bit out of his ankle in terms of its explosiveness, its ability to decelerate and absorb force. And he'll need to get that last few percent out of the ankle before we can put him back into training.
Tom Beltran has had shoulder surgery over the off-season. How is he progressing?
Yeah, so Tom had that shoulder surgery. He's been able to do good running in the off-season. He's back doing full volumes with the group, normal training for him as a ruckman. We have to be careful of his contact, and he'll be progressing his contact up until Christmas. Luke Lavender as well has been able to get some work in the off-season. He'll also be building up his training volume and football-based training in the lead into Christmas. And then both of those will be hoping to get their full tick of approval for full contact after the Christmas break.
And Mason Redman also had some work done. How is he looking at the moment?
Yeah, so Mason had the syndesmosis injury to his ankle, and then he had that minor surgery on his knee. He's progressing really well. He's doing about half of sessions with the group at the moment and half in the rehab group. He'll be building up his high change of direction, cutting movements, and progressing gradually back into the full training with the full group.
And there are a few others on restricted training at the moment. Are there any specific injuries worth noting there, or is it more just precautionary stuff at this early stage of the pre-season?
Yeah, I wouldn't be talking about them in terms of injuries. There's a couple of players, Heppel and Devon Smith, are good examples where we gave them a prolonged rest at the end of the season. We felt with their different injury histories and the toll the season took on their bodies that they needed extra time off feet without running. And that means that having only just started back running, both of those will be progressing really smartly into that off-season period, with potentially little bits with the group, but mostly their own work on the other oval.
Well, it all looks pretty positive. Thanks very much for joining us.
No worries. Thanks, guys.